to shut up. When I fight for myself, it's not just about me and that score. It's about all the other independent designers who can't pay for this. I'm standing up for all of us because this happens all the time. There is no respect for creatives. People have even told me before, oh, your patent doesn't mean anything. I could design that in my sleep. Well, then why didn't you? Why didn't you?
Welcome to the Jasmine Star Show, where today I just feel particularly honored and blessed because for the first time ever on the show, I'm going to be sitting with a college alum, a phenomenal entrepreneur, somebody who has blown my mind again and again with her multiple iterations. And dare I say it, I'm going to start here. What we have seen so much of this person do is climb and ascend and overcome. And what we don't often hear too much is the path that took her to every ascension. Because where there is every ascension, there is also the climb up. And where are you climbing up from? A valley that a lot of entrepreneurs don't talk about. And all of the research that I did in preparation of this conversation, I'm really excited because I have hardly ever heard somebody talk so much about the emotional component of being a wildly successful entrepreneur. I can't wait for her to blow your mind. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jasmine Star Show and Cassey Ho.
Hi.
I'm so happy you're here. Okay.
I am too.
I thought I was going to start in a different place, but right before we had turned on the cameras, you're like, oh, I was at YouTube HQ. And I said, okay, no. Let's just start there because we're going to get into your origin story. We're going to get into all of that. But I wanted just Cassey to show up as Cassey. So you're at
here.
YouTube HQ and what was going on?
It was YouTube's 20th birthday party. And so they invited some OG YouTubers to come over, be on a panel with Neil Mohan, the CEO of YouTube. And we talked about our journeys and it was what I was trying to get to was I am always so critical of myself, especially in speaking engagements. And where I was going before you turned on the camera was that you are so good on stage. Like the way you speak is so succinct, concise, and you like wrap it all up in a nice little bow with like power punch at the end. You are such the inspiration.
Well, okay. And then so what we should have said, okay, this goes back a little bit all over the place and this feels good. It feels like a real conversation and less of an interview. So Cassey and I met in person. We'd gone to the same school. Shout out to Whittier College. Yeah. We're the fiercest poets. Yeah. And so we met last year in Miami where she was hosting a small business challenge for Inc. magazine and the UPS store. And I was a mentor. So I was able to work with a mentee. We went to the finals and Cassey was there and she was the host.
Yeah.
And we had connected. Now here's the thing. I don't know if I told you, but I actually learned about your story from The Rock, Whittier College magazine.
Yeah.
Okay. So Whittier College has this like quarterly magazine that they send about like alum, and they had featured Cassey, and we're going to get to why they were featuring her in a second because people are like, is this just like a girlfriend talk? It might be, but here's the deal. I love being able to show a different side of an entrepreneur because what a lot of people see is mega successful, mega powerhouse, and dare I say like mega perfection. And I know that there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. So what I read is I'm flipping through this magazine is about this business owner who started off as a Pilates instructor, and we're going to get to that story in a second. So I'm going through her story, and so then it's crazy that I walk into the room and I see Cassey, and when you're on stage, and this is not being nice, because if everyone watches and listens to the show, I'm not nice, I'm just honest.
Okay.
The way that you stood on that stage and the way that you navigated, I think that you set us up, us mentors, the ability to shine. And so I'm not being nice. So I would just encourage you, like, never tell yourself a story because you completely own it. So what happened at YouTube? Spill the tea.
Wait, before I get there,
okay,
can I just say thank you so much for your truth? And like, I'm glad it was positive. But like every time after any type of speaking engagement, I'll ask Sam, my husband, grade me from A to F on how that was because I need to stay real and I need to know how I can always do better. So that's just like how I live my life.
So what was his feedback?
He thought I was really good at this last one.
Great.
I made like one weird like grammatical slip, which it's still in my head, but I think I was just like slipping my tongue at that moment. But overall, I think it was really good. Actually, yeah, I felt the same as him. So that's always good.
Great.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, it was YouTube's 20th birthday party. I've been on YouTube for 15 years. So I was one of the OG YouTubers. And the thing is, the climate back then, I wouldn't even say it's a climate.
It's a climate.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
a climate.
It was different. People didn't start to get famous, to gain followers, to make money. You just started because you wanted to put up a random video on YouTube and connect with people. And the landscape has truly changed. So it was really cool to talk about how different the landscape was back then for creators versus what it is now.
Cool. And so just as a point of clarity, before we get into her origin story, we're talking a lot about YouTube, and I actually haven't put any context around who Cassey is. She's founder and CEO of Blogilates and Popflex, and a strong, wildly popular personal brand. You might be very familiar with her on YouTube with billions of views. How I saw from a distance that pivot from, not pivot, the addition to how you kind of transcended and what you started doing on TikTok really early on. And we're going to get into all of that. But this is an entrepreneurial journey. And like the biggest takeaway for me is being able to show the level of grit and wherewithal it takes to build the empire that you're building. So we're talking about YouTube. That was a great place to start. Maybe we start a little bit there around that YouTube journey and then what set off like your first product.
Okay, so YouTube started in 2009. It was one Pilates video that was for my students at 24 Hour Fitness in Santa Fe Springs, like near Whittier.
Oh my God.
It was like for 40 people, and I was graduating and moving to the East Coast for my first job, my first corporate job, and nobody else was teaching that format at the time, which was Pilates to pop music. I called it Pop Pilates. And so I filmed a 10-minute video because that was the upload limit at YouTube at the time, and I put it up for 40 people. And the next time I looked at that video, there were thousands of views and hundreds of comments. And it wasn't just the 40 people. And then organically, this community grew online of women who wanted to get stronger in their own bedrooms at home, who maybe weren't confident enough to go to the gym. And that was how Blogilates began. Now, in terms of product, there's a lot of different things. As you know, with an entrepreneurial journey, it's like so winding. But like if I could pick one point where things really changed. It was about 2 years into making YouTube videos, probably around 2011. And it was on Facebook. And people were like, hey, Cassey, we want a shirt that says Blogilates. And I was like, what? You want a shirt with my screen name on it? That's really weird. Because at the time, I just randomly chose that word because I blogged and I did Pilates. Like that was the extent of the thought into that brand, right? Which is crazy that it's a brand now. And I was like, okay. So we had a little t-shirt contest with like, a little art contest. I ended up buying these shirts from Forever 21, RIP, by the way.
Aww.
I know, right?
It was an era.
And then, hired a local screen printer who printed the image on it and put it up on Facebook, and it sold out within minutes. And I was like, wait, what?
How many
happening?
shirts?
Oh, I don't think that. Maybe like 30, 40 or something. But like I was like small back then. And then that began like the merchandise end of what I was doing along with the fitness videos.
Okay, so I'm going to pause here. I'm going to pause because I like to repeat it back just so that I'm understanding the arc and the narrative. And so here you are, you recorded a video. Now, can I fill in a couple gaps?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine your dad says when you're in college, you will either be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure. So Cassey followed the good, strong path because she's a daughter of an immigrant, Chinese and Vietnamese. And she's going to do her family right. So you major in biology. You graduate with honors, and then you get a job on the East Coast as a buyer.
Oh, training to be a buyer. I started out as an allocation analyst. Let me tell you, I didn't even make it to buyer because I sucked at my job so bad.
Well, you sucked at your job only because you knew that something else was calling.
Yeah, it wasn't my natural talent.
And so in that time, you're still creating videos. And you know that there is a calling back to you. And so you notice that your audience is coming to you with a specific ask, something that doesn't cross your mind. You would never think, let me make a t-shirt with my screen name. So you just decide to make a small test. And this test yields in a lot of community involvement because they're voting on t-shirts, they're voting on designs. And then you send this out. And there's a lot of people who are watching right now and be like, that sounds like something I could do. Like I could maybe start creating content. Maybe I could put something small. I love that you had said, I didn't know it was 30 or 40 shirts. I think that's so intriguing. So then what happens from those shirts into next steps?
Oh, the shirts into next steps. I mean, after the shirts, there were slogans. If you remember at the time in the 2012-13 era, it was like train insane and remain the same, train like a beast, look like a beauty.
Yeah.
And so I started making like tons of different tank tops, and I was doing all the graphic design and everything. Then it went on yoga mats, then it went on water bottles. And I remember there was this moment, and again, I'm like jumping all over the place, but there was a moment when I was selling 30,000 of this one water bottle with train insane and remain the same on it, with timestamps on the side so you could stay hydrated with like the timing.
Oh, that's cute.
Throughout the day. Yeah, I mean, it just like people just wanted a piece of the journey. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So you leave Boston, you come back to California, and if I know a part of the story is that you're keeping the 30,000 water bottles or that inventory in your parents' garage.
Yeah.
Where are you living?
Let's see. I think I actually moved back into my childhood home, and I
what does
felt
your
so
dad think?
lost. Oh my God. My parents were like, "When are you going back to school? Like, what are you doing with your life?" It was all of that.
But they see the inventory, right?
Yeah, but it was like still like, what are you doing? But anyway, they were so wonderful in letting me not only take over the garage, but then the living room, and then the family room, and then the kitchen. And there were like literally boxes that were, I feel like 10, 15 feet like up in the air. It was like, this was not happening anymore. So what ended up happening is I got a warehouse, and we started shipping from there, and just honestly just figuring everything out.
Now, at this point, are you believing I'm building a business, or like what's take me back to that time, and you're getting a warehouse.
Yeah.
And do you, at this time, are you saying I'm an entrepreneur, I am choosing entrepreneurship, or what's going on?
So, okay, I'm going to take you back even more, because my childhood dream was to be a fashion designer. That's what I've always wanted. And some people ask me like, well, how did you know? Like, I just know. It's in my blood. It's in my bones. It's in my heart. I would walk around with a sketchbook, always sketching dresses. Why? I don't know. It just like, I feel like this is what I was put on earth to do. And I would make my own Halloween costumes, dance costume, my friends' prom dresses. Like, it was in me. And so, during this time, I was building the YouTube channel. It was just the thing that was happening, and it was fun while I was trying to figure out, you know, how do I get back to that original dream? Because I'm never going to let go of that. But what's amazing is that building that community eventually did lead me back into my childhood dream. Now, in this moment, you're saying like 2013, 14, I was definitely more YouTuber than I was designer, because it was like graphic design in the background. It was fine and it was fun, but I didn't talk about it. And for the most part, I'm just going to like say easy in quotes. It was easy because it was screen printing on shirts, but none of this had to do with actual fashion design, actual artistry and craftsmanship. And that's like what I really, really wanted.
This is the first time I actually heard that distinction, and I love it.
Okay.
So at the time, if I heard you correctly, at the time, you're a YouTuber with a product line.
Yeah.
And the Cassey today is a fashion designer.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And it actually took a while to change that narrative too, and we could talk about that.
I'm sure. Okay, so you have a warehouse now.
Yeah.
You are a YouTuber. You're building up this massive, and I wouldn't even say because there's a difference between an audience and a community.
Yeah.
And at that time, so distinctly community. People were supporting each other. They were supporting you. You're growing. And one of the things that became like pretty clear in that journey, especially what was going on with YouTube, is that there was a lot of, this is a new platform in a new way. So people are warm and fuzzy in the beginning, and then kind of sometimes community kind of fractions. And so talk to me about negativity online. When does this start happening? And do you think it's a result of how successful you had become?
Okay. Negativity began right away. And I think it's the result of being in the fitness industry. And I'm going to get to how it feels not being in it anymore at the end of the story. But, the first time I put up that 10-minute video for 40 people, I was a Pilates instructor instructing. That is it. I did not mean to become a model, a role model, like any of that. But one of my first negative comments, of course, was about my body. Why are you so fat? Why don't you have abs? Why is your butt so flat? Like all these things, I was like, wait, I didn't, what? Like I'm an instructor. You don't hear these things in real life.
Right.
And around, this was like the first time people are really putting themselves online connecting, and then there's like randos behind screen names like saying mean stuff. And so it started pretty immediately. Not bad, okay? Not a lot, but as you know, with negative comments, it hits the soul and it hurts you, especially when it hits an insecurity, because I grew up chubby and I've always been hyper aware of my looks and my weight, unfortunately, okay? So I think as Blogilates grew, of course, the positivity is always overwhelming. And like I said, it's the mean ones that really stick out to me. And as Blogilates got more and more popular, more people would come for me. And it literally was body shaming. And it was interesting because around this like 2015-ish time, it was also the rise of the body positivity movement, because I think a lot of people, especially women, were experiencing this body shaming online. And so what ended up happening was, one, I always cry. I cry because it hurts, and it hurts the parts of me that feel very weak and I'm still working on, But anyway, I remember that one way for me to battle through it was taking these negative comments and making a video about it, like actually turning the negativity into something positive. And so I took those comments, why don't you have abs? Like blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And I literally photoshopped myself on video to look like what they wanted me to look like.
Okay, and so hold on.
Yeah.
There's like a comment like, why don't you have a bigger butt? And so then you photoshopped a bigger butt. And
Yes.
why don't you have a smaller abs? And all of it is one video.
One video.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was really difficult to pull this one off because we were editing frame by frame. And because like there's 30 frames per second. So for every second, we would be pushing things. Like it was hard. It was hard on the back end. But anyway, that video not only was therapy for myself, but ended up becoming one of my hugest viral hits. It was featured on Good Morning America and did the whole like news circuit. I did not expect that, and got so many messages from people saying I shared this with my daughter and with my wife, like from men too, like who like didn't understand that women were going through this. And I called it The Perfect Body, and it still remains one of my favorite videos of all time. So yeah, negative comments, they just increase as you get bigger. That is what happens. You're just on a bigger stage and there's more people to critique you because, I don't know, but maybe it's fun for them. I don't know.
I think you still do shades of it when you launch a design. Like this was probably maybe like 6 or 7 months ago when you had launched a pair of like hiking pants.
Yeah.
And you got like negative comments.
Yeah.
And then you posted the negative comments, and then you actually made style adjustments based on like the hate. And to me, I thought, this isn't like a clapback. It's simply, thank you for the user feedback. We're going to create something that's going to blow your dang mind.
Yeah.
And the response to it is so powerful. It comes across as very strong, but does it still hurt in the same capacity, or?
I don't think anything hurts as much as attacking someone attacks my body. Now my designs are also my baby, so it hurts still because it hurts my creativity and my vision and my work ethic, but it will never hurt as much as someone attacking my body.
So this is actually a cool loop back. So you were celebrating the 20-year anniversary of YouTube, but there was also, I think it was VidCon, or there was some sort of video conference where there was representatives of YouTube where you stood up to advocate for yourself. Can you share that story? And there was one where you were crying, and then a friend had to jump in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you did your research.
Girl, I went deep because because this is the thing, Cassey. It's like what people see is Taylor Swift wearing your clothing. What they see is the line drop at Target.
Yeah.
And what they see is your actual like weights in, you can buy, like what they see is this really beautiful, self-assured woman and a happy marriage and an adorable dog traveling the world. And there was so much behind the scenes. And that's what I want to say, because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we sit in the dark dungeon of ourselves and being like, other people can do that. And I'm like, no, we're going to talk about this beautiful, amazing, powerful woman who's gone through so much. So you can't get to walk the aisles at Target until you've gone through like the perils of rising from the dust. Okay, so let's go back to that story.
I'll take you back there. So this was around, I don't know, 2015, 16, 17. I can't remember anymore. But as Blogilates was getting really, really big on YouTube, of course, and look, there is this same cycle that happens on any platform, and there is like a drama period, okay? So I would say around like 2015, 16, 17, whatever, the drama period hit. And it's interesting
For
because
you or for
everybody.
creators? Okay.
No, for the
okay.
entire platform,
Okay.
because you can see it happen. I remember when TikTok first started, the drama period happened quite quickly because everything was just quicker with TikTok,
Yes.
but it was the same thing. And yeah, I'll get into that later. Anyway.
Yes, girl. Yes.
So
Okay.
this particular channel really enjoyed making up stories about, I guess, famous or popular YouTubers, because what would happen is that anytime I or any YouTuber would put up a video, there would be suggested videos. So if someone's making a video about you, and if it's also kind of like, oh, so-and-so, da-da-da, like, you're going to want to, the audience is going to want to click on it. So this person would make these videos, get millions of views on them, and then she would just go on to the next person, until she like finished them. Unfortunately, I was one of the victims, and it was really bad.
What was she saying?
Oh, it was ridiculous stuff. So I'm not vegan, and this person was vegan, and nothing against vegans. I have many vegan friends. I love eating vegan, but this person just made it her mission to take down anyone who wasn't by making up stories. And I mean, I don't even know if I should say
It's
on
fine.
the podcast,
It's fine.
like
It's
what
fine.
some of
It's
these
fine.
titles were. I mean, it was really terrible, and complete lies, and it ended up like confusing a lot of my audience. Like, I mean, I guess like, should I just tell you so like you have an understanding?
No. Here's the thing. I don't need to shed more light on people who actually, thankfully, are not present anymore, because hate never lasts.
Yeah.
And negativity never lasts. And so what I wanted to do was to contextualize how icky it got. But I trust you.
Yeah.
It was bad. And when there's market confusion, it has a direct impact. Outside of like, okay, people can say, oh, toughen up, Cassey, get thick skin. You're putting yourself out there. Fine. But if it has business impacts, that's a very different level. So if people are confused and if people don't understand, it was affecting your business.
Yeah. And I mean, essentially it was like, Cassey is fat because she's not vegan, or Cassey does this to animals. Like, it was just like all fake stuff. And yes, it did tarnish the brand. It tarnished me. It caused confusion. And it was all linked back into that anti-body. It was the body shaming along with it. It was just so bad on the internet side. And then inside at the time, there was toxicity on my team, and we were so tiny. We were like 5 or 6 employees, but this was also like, I don't know. It was just really hard from the inside and outside. So I felt like I was crumbling as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a YouTuber, as a CEO. Like, I felt like I couldn't do anything right. And I almost quit. Like, I was like, I can't do this. But the thing is, I just wasn't surrounding myself with the right people at the time. But yeah, I was like literally 30 days from being like, I am not meant for this. I should just stop all of it.
So speaking of surrounding yourself around positive people, and I would like to go back to the team conversation, because it seems like it was like this vortex of things that were happening that were causing you to get out of the current state and elevate into the next. But when you were at the conference, you tried talking about the negativity and the impact, and then somebody stepped in.
Okay, so it was the YouTube Creator Summit, and YouTube puts this on for their top tier creators every year, and I was lucky enough to be invited. And I remember the YouTube CEO was having a town hall, and so I stood up and I said, hey, this thing is happening right now. It's not just happening to me. It's happening to a lot of people in this room right now, and that person is being paid to make videos to tarnish all of our reputations, and it's all lies. My voice was shaking so much because at this time, like, I was being super harassed online through the lies, and this person sent their people to like just spam my Instagram. And at the time, there was no what do you call it when you can like block certain
Moderate
words?
comments.
Moderation.
Yeah.
So like it was just insane. Just imagine. Do you remember when Kim K sent the snakes over to Taylor Swift's page? It was that, except it wasn't a snake. It was a banana. And so honestly, I'm like, I could not eat bananas for like 5 years after that. No, it was like psychologically damaging.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm for real. So anyway, my friend actually had to stand up and like finish off what I was trying to say because I was like shaking and I was crying. And then other YouTubers stood up from like the gaming vertical and like other people, like, and it was like this was a thing that was happening.
Okay, so I'm going to pause here for people who might not be like really familiar. So if you have AdSense on YouTube, you're getting paid for how many views that you get. So then these people, these like haters would go after mega accounts. They would slurp over any of like the outlying people who just want the dirty tea and negativity. And then they're making a lot of money on the coattails of somebody else on the back of lies. And so it wasn't just happening to Cassey. And so what Cassey did is she spoke in front of her peers and said, this is wrong. And then other people after the first, it always takes one, Cassey. It takes one.
And then we all realized that this was a thing that was bigger than just like a singular attack. And, you know, I remember at this time, it was just like so painful. And I kept asking myself, why me? Like, why do I need to feel all this right now? And the answer to that question came after that summit because of this, YouTube policy actually changed. And they changed the rules on harassment and things like that and how people can monetize online. And that channel ended up being demonetized and that person ended up not making those videos anymore because it was all money based anyway. And so the harassment ended up stopping. I don't even know if this person is still online. If they are, whatever, I don't even see them. But I guess all of that was for an entire platform policy change.
And so around this time, there's toxicity online and then there's toxicity within your team. And the reason why I bring this up is because the goal for me was to show like for every ascension, there had to come like a dipping point in order for you to make decisions. And so you have a team of 5 or 6 at this time. And when you look back and at this time, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Yes, okay. I would say because we had.
What year is this?
Let's see, 2017.
Okay.
18. Like that, yeah.
So you're considering yourself, I went from YouTuber to entrepreneur. I have a team.
Yeah.
And then you realize the team is toxic.
Yeah.
And so when you look back at that, what did you not do to prevent that you've done now? Like, what is the main difference? Like, what was not happening at that time?
You know, I remember also at one of these YouTube summits, a very popular YouTuber that I respect and still respect, he had an interesting perspective on how to hire people. And he said, hire from your fan base. You don't have to talk about your mission. They just get it. And all of us were like, yeah, of course. And so one of my first like big hires was from the fan base, and extremely talented individual. Unfortunately, I think what happens when you hire from the fan base is that they expect the online version of Cassey, the instructor version, who is bubbly and excited and happy all the time. But business Cassey is pretty business. Like it's a very, very serious. And so I think that created this weird dynamic where maybe they didn't expect the person that they expected and created like this weird tension in the office where sometimes I would walk in and there would be chatter and all of a sudden, boom, silence. And you know, like they were talking about something. And that just created this weird atmosphere. Now, that's just like one hypothesis I have on why that part went wrong. But there was a whole nother thing about, working with younger employees and, expectations versus reality and, people wanting to be promoted really fast when they're not ready. And it was just like all of these things that I hadn't signed up for, like I signed up to, be a creative and design things and content create, but not manage people's feelings, become a therapist, which I'm still navigating to this day. I'm much better now, but it was so difficult. It was really difficult.
So it's very common in the entrepreneurial journey to understand that the team that gets you to a certain spot will most likely not be the team that gets you to the next spot as you ascend.
Yeah.
So when you look back at that time, how long from the moment where you realize, okay, this is not the team and this is not a good situation for me?
I think it was like a couple or few years of really trying to make it work and make it better. And I think the hardest and most hurtful thing, especially for me, because I'm extremely sensitive and empathetic, and I want my team to also ascend with me and do better, but we also have to be so real and so honest with each other. And so if we can't get on the same page, it's just not going to work out. And eventually what ended up happening was the people who didn't feel like they wanted to be there left, and with that bad apple energy, like left all that toxicity, and then the right people came in place. And it was a really, really tough.
Did you shrink your team down, or was it like one or two people left and you brought one or two people in?
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so talk to me, based on what you learned from, probably, I'm assuming, did you hire from your community again?
Let me think. No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not. Yeah.
So you're putting out an entirely different type of job description because you said, I'm going to need a different type of player to get the business to the next level.
Well, you know what was the difference? The difference was working with contractors, because you get a chance to date people. And I think this is what is wrong with the hiring process right now. Why is it that we all work in this way where we go on these blind dates together? You have, 30 minutes to an hour to be like, yeah, this is going to work. What? And then you offer a marriage proposal.
A W-2. That's right.
Hope it works. And then if it doesn't, you have to get divorced. Why can't we just literally date each other?
I love this.
And then if it works, then you get married.
That is 100%.
And so that's what I do now. And that changed the game for us.
Amazing. So talk to me though about the logistics of, so the story that I used to tell myself, but so far we've done it with our 3 most recent employees and I love it. So as a quick breakdown, what Cassey is recommending is, let's say you're looking for a marketing manager. Okay, fine. And so you're going to say, this person's probably going to work 40 hours a week. I'm going to W-2. I'm going to give them a 401k. I'm going to get their insurance. And then all of a sudden, this person doesn't work out. And it's so complicated to let go of a W-2, specifically in California. Anyway, and so what she's saying is, let me hire a contractor and let me see with this scope of work, do they deploy? Are they communicative? How do they work under pressure? You get to AKA date them.
Right. And they get to date you too, which is fair.
That's true. That's true.
Really, I think it's fair for both sides.
That's true.
It's so healthy.
And so then after a certain amount of time, you're like, wow, this person is over-delivered. I like the way that they work. And then you extend the marriage, which is, let's go full time. Let's go deep. Let's build. And so sometimes the story is, people who are really qualified and talented aren't going to take a contractor's position for like 15 or 20 hours a week.
For sure.
And so how do you overcome that?
And you know what? Like, this is so true. Recently, we've had to take the leap. But sometimes these hard workers will work after hours, after their normal job, because I just need a taste. I need a taste of your work ethic, who you are. Do you fit with the rest of the team? And if I feel like we have that taste, then, sometimes you do have to just take a risk for a really good person.
So you go from YouTuber as an identity.
Yeah.
And then you step into entrepreneur as an identity. And to be clear, identities are not you. Yeah. It's just in this phase, in this era, this is what's going on. And your content continues to go viral. You are continuing to grow out all social platforms. And at what point do you start stepping into, I'm a designer? Now, you've always been a designer. When does the identity on the inside start matching what's on the outside?
I think the inside and the outside truly became one harmonious thing. When I started PopFlex, when I started PopFlex,
talk about the distinction between PopFlex and Blogalati.
Okay, yeah, this is important. Okay. So Blogalati started out as my YouTube channel screen name, okay? And for the most part, it was kind of my more merch-like things. So the slogans on the shirts, the slogans on the yoga mats, and things like that. But the distinction with PopFlex is pretty much, I wanted my own Lululemon, okay? I was wearing everyone's brand in my fitness videos, and I was like, I want to wear my own brand. And that is also what led me back into that childhood dream of wanting to become a fashion designer. And so without any technical or educational training in fashion design, I was like, let's just do this. I'm going to figure it out. Because I love clothes. I love clothes so much. So in 2016, I started PopFlex, and it was my own activewear range. And it did really well. It did really well in the beginning. But then it didn't, because I didn't know anything about fit, especially when.
Well, why did it? Okay. What's the talk to me about the difference? It did really well, and then it didn't. Why did it do well, and then what did you discover?
So it did well because the community was super excited. They bought it. Now, I began with standard sizes, like extra small through extra large, and my channel at the time was very much about, inclusivity and body positivity. And so it didn't make sense that I didn't have plus size, but I also didn't understand how to make plus size, again, without any technical design training. So after I launched my first 2 with standard range, I was working on plus in the background. And that was really difficult because I did not understand how the body changed, measurement wise, calculation wise, and just like in reality. I didn't know how to make a good fit. And
okay, wait, I have a question though.
Yeah.
I am like so stuck here.
Okay.
So you sketch, and I know you sketch because still to this day you show your sketches as part of your content, which I absolutely love. Obsessed. So you're sketching, you know what you want it to look like. And then what? You're like, okay, I need to take this design and make it before. We're not even speaking about plus size. You're like, this design, and now I need it. And then so there's standard sizing and measurements for extra small through extra large?
Not really. No, that's the weird thing about women's clothing.
Okay.
Not really.
So then you go and then like you're taking it to a manufacturer or like what?
So what you do is after I do the sketch, then we create a tech pack. And so a tech pack includes
And you're just teaching yourself this?
I'm teaching myself this. Also at the time I was working with like this graduate from FITM, and she was kind of figuring it out. It was her first job. Like we were all just like figuring it out and just learning by like what the factory was like, hey, do you have this? Do you know this? And like, honestly, just studying the garments that I already had at home. I had every brand in my closet because I was wearing everything like Lulu, Aloe, Tiki, like Beyond Yoga, everything, brands that are still here today, maybe not even here today. And they also sent me a ton of stuff. And so there was a lot of things that I could work off of. And you're kind of just looking at those measurements. Now, again, I'm a size small. So I understood like how small worked. But then there's something called grading. And with grading, you calculate like how much of a percent increase between a small all the way up to medium, large, extra large, 3X. The thing is, it is not the same percent grade in different areas of the body. For example, you wouldn't grade a wrist that differently between like a small
thigh.
and a plus. Versus like hips. Hips can grow, boobs can grow. But wrists, not so much. Ankles, not so much. And so there's a lot of nuance to it that you don't know until you begin trying. So anyway, what I was saying is that I did not understand those things in our first plus drop. People are super excited about it. This is our 3rd drop. And things came back a little too tight. So that was bad. And then so in the 4th drop, and again, like the first 2 drops were great because it was like, I think, within 6 months of each other, which felt like really healthy for a collection drop. The 3rd drop took like a year and a half because I did not understand how to fit for plus. And so anyway, when I dropped the 3rd one, it was too tight. People were not happy with that. So then in the 4th one, everything was like too big and people weren't happy with that. And of course, what happens with clothing and fit is that if you don't get it right, if it's not consistent, you lose trust. And when you lose trust, you lose the customer. And, sales were stagnant and going down as my channel started going up. So these things were not matching because I didn't know enough about the garment construction process. And it wasn't until I found a manufacturer who was able to help interpret what I needed. And also I started working with a technical designer to help me understand better the fit on a female body. That's when things started to change. And that was around like 2019 or something. No, but like seriously, from 2016 to before I found that next manufacturer, sales were up and down and almost dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so your channels are growing.
Yeah.
Down and almost dead. And then you have to make a decision. And what is your, if you go back to 2000, to that time, that like phase, at what point you're like, I have another one in me. I am ready to hedge this bet. And talk to me about the technical designer who you hired. And was that a different hire? Did you know you needed that hire and it was a matter of finding that hire, or did that person find you? What?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just put something up online, a contractor, and it was just the person who responded to me, and they were in LA, and I was like, cool, like let's meet up for a few hours, let's figure this out. But yeah, I mean, sorry, what was the question again?
Was understanding, like when you're in this point, we're down and almost dead. What do you say to yourself that like, I'm going to give this another try? And like, where are you at? Like how much risk are you willing to accept?
So this was so remember how I told you there was all that online stuff happening?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So there was that. There was the toxic team happening. And then there was also the business not doing well. So all 3 were happening at once. So you can only imagine how bad and insecure and just like I am worthless as a human being. Like, that's how I felt. I felt like I couldn't do anything right for anyone, and also felt ugly in my body because everyone was telling me I was ugly in my body. So I really wanted to give up. I was having panic attacks, and honestly, like, I didn't believe in myself anymore, which is really tough because I always believe in myself. I'm a very confident person and I have dreams. And my husband was like, Cassey, give it 30 more days. And I really didn't want to. I wanted to stop Blogilates, stop Potflex, and like move to Hawaii and just be like, I just need to live a different life. And magically, it's in those last moments of almost giving up when you have to crawl out of that hole that this different type of survival instinct like comes out and things just happen. And it was in those 30 days that other manufacturer just randomly emailed me, and I was like, ugh, whatever. I'm not even going to give you a tech pack. I'm going to send you my sketches and like, let's see what you can do as a test. And he actually did really great. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's when he came around. That's when I found the technical designer on Upwork. Like, things just happen. And also the bad apples left and new apples. Well, do you call them apples anymore? I don't know.
We'll call them saplings because they were grown. They were grown.
Bad apples left, saplings came in, and it just like was the beginning of something fresh and new. So I really do owe it all to my husband, Sam, for telling me not to give up because I truly had given up on myself in that time.
And Sam is your COO or director of ops?
Yeah, he's COO.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right,
He's
girl.
so good at what he does, and I don't want to be doing what he does.
That's amazing. Okay, so then you see this shift happening.
Yeah.
And then talk to me about the Taylor Swift moment, because there's this couple things which like all of a sudden the saplings are in place and you're finding a better fit and you're restoring trust and you're building out that audience, and then sometimes you're able to catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna back up a little bit because what I can tell from this conversation is that you really love these inflection points, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this whole
See, this is why she's so fucking amazing. Do you see how she's like, oh, I get it. I get the game we're playing. I'm gonna do this. I love it. I love it.
Okay. So this whole time from 2009 on, I was making long form horizontal videos, okay? And that was all fitness videos. Now, around 2021, okay, again, Potflex started in 2016. Around 2021, I was feeling no longer challenged by doing the fitness videos. Now, I'm not saying I don't like fitness or working out or Pilates. I still do it every morning, okay? It's part of my lifestyle. However, creatively, I was no longer challenged. And I'm the type of person, I guess, unfortunately, that has to always live my life so challenged at all times in order to feel some sense of self-worth. It's just horrendous how I was brought up. Anyway, so I wanted to make a change in my content for myself and show people more of who I was. And so I wanted to show people Cassey Ho, the designer, not just Cassey Ho, the fitness instructor. And if I had not made that change to short form content and the why behind the design, which are the videos you see now, I would have burnt out creatively, 100%. And you will see YouTubers talk about this all the time. Yeah. They kind of get stuck on the views and the content, what people expect from them. But I am someone who follows my heart through and through. It has always led me to the right place, no matter how painful the pathway is, it takes me to the right place. So around 2021, I decided, hey, let's talk about construction of garments. Like it's just, to me, it's interesting. It's scientific, it's architectural. People think fashion is so floofy and superficial, but it is so smart. And you just don't hear people talk about it. And so I wanted to talk to women about, hey, what creates a camel toe? Why do you need that front seam? That video went viral. And I was like, oh, okay, let me talk more about fashion in this different way of really bringing the audience into the why behind the construction. And these videos started going viral. Then they would go viral and sell out the product within hours. And then it just became my format. It became a new format. And I am so grateful and so lucky that this pivot actually ended up working for me, because I've seen other content creators try to do a big pivot and it may not work out for them. The audience may not come along for the ride. But I think for me, the difference is that desire of wanting to be a fashion designer, that was in my bones since I was born. And I think the audience could really tell that this is coming from a different
Okay, I want to pause here from like a business perspective.
Yeah.
And so just to slow it down a tiny bit for the audience, is she went from long form horizontal into short form vertical. but she wasn't doing fitness in the short form, in the short form vertical. What she was doing was how to explaining why, let's say, you get a camel toe in workout clothes. She was explaining fit to people. So while she wasn't speaking about fitness and specifically, she can actually get a fitness shirt and describe the differences between it. So it was an extension, not a complete diversion. And so then she starts realizing that she's striking a nerve by education. But what does the education do? It ends up selling her clothes. And that right there is just what you've pioneered. And I say pioneered because so many people have copied it, but it's so effective and like great to each their own. But you saw it, you did it, and then you reaped massive rewards from it. So you're shifting an audience though, because I'm guessing that the audience on YouTube became very different when you went to TikTok, Instagram. It skewed younger, I'm guessing.
It did skew younger. And I remember, because this was during the pandemic, I remember one of the first times we were all let out again, and I was out on the streets. For the first time, a little girl who was like 8 or something came up to me and was like, I want to be a fashion designer just like you. And that was the first time it wasn't a woman who came up to me and said, thank you for helping me lose weight. Thank you for helping me be more confident in my body. And that's when it started changing. That was like the coolest thing. I will always remember that.
And she likely saw you on TikTok.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So then talk to me about this shift in the demo, shift in views, and what type of growth are we seeing? When you decide, I'm going to shift my content, which in itself is a risk, from a business perspective, how are you quantifying the time and amount of energy? Because you spend a lot of time creating content.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. So one 60-second short takes me around 9 to 10 hours. And that's in filming, editing. There's a lot of
and
it.
You're doing it
I'm
yourself.
all doing it myself. And I know that's crazy. I know people think I'm crazy. But I have to explain myself, okay? I'm explaining myself because each of my designs are my babies, okay? I spend around average 2 years of product development. I'm in every fit for every product. And so I see the evolution of this product. And around like 95% of the products that we make all come from my sketch, that original concept. So I'm there for the entire process, and I want to be the person that births it to the world. And so it's really important for me just in here, again, in my heart, to tell its story. And so I really do enjoy just taking my phone, setting it up on a little tripod. And I just start filming because I already know. I don't do a script. I don't do a storyboard. Now, if I was working with a bunch of other people, 100% I have to do that, but it's all in my head. And so I film, I edit. I don't write, but my writing actually is the editing part. Because I'm thinking about how the story's going to be told. And then at the end, I'll do the voiceover once I have something that seems right. And I just I don't script it out. I just speak. And so, 9 to 10 hours, it's a lot, but it brought the joy back into editing for me, because at the end of making fitness videos, I honestly, and I wasn't editing at the end, I couldn't stand it anymore. How many times can I hear myself talking about how to do a double leg lift or a crunch? Like, love it, but again, wasn't mentally challenged anymore. But talking about garment construction and just like the why behind, different seams and stuff, like that's interesting to me because it's different. Yeah.
And so you start making this pivot, the content changes, the audience is changing, people are responding to it, it's lit up something on the inside. And so then what happens for the Taylor Swift moment?
Okay.
And I actually have to say, just as a side note, I love the content that you put out. Whenever I see a video and talking about your sketch to real life, I absolutely love it, because when I wear it, I know this is a secret pocket.
Yeah.
And this is the way. And so I just want the audience to know that I am wearing currently Pop Flex. And before we turn on cameras, Cassey said, oh my gosh, this sweater looks so good on you. And I was just like, I want it in every color, not as an endorsement, but because I know what went in behind it. And I noticed the details that had I might overlooked, it's like, oh no, it's metal. It's a weighted end to like the hoodie string. Mm-hmm. And I know where like my side pockets are. And I know that I could pair it with a pair of jean shorts, and I put it off the shoulder, and then it goes from like my gym to I'm just going to go out and spend the day here in Austin and just like feel fly. So spend those 9 hours, girl. Oh. We appreciate it. We're better because of it. Okay. But talk to me. Okay. So this is the main point, because what we see is a big takeoff, and then we see, and this is where I want to like kind of like lend it to a bit of suspense, because there is the Taylor Swift moment. Then there's a bunch of people who copy it.
Yeah.
And then there's Cassey, and again, becoming a pioneer, climbing the next mountain and taking on much bigger audiences and bigger companies. So let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, so we can't talk about the Taylor Swift moment without talking about the skirt that started it all.
The skirt that
started it all. So in 2021, I sketched the pirouette skirt, and essentially it's a wide waistband skirt, two-tiered mesh with shorts under, anti-camel toe pockets, and it really just imagine ballerina meets fitness, okay?
Yes.
It's just strong, athletic, and graceful all at the same time. So anyway, drew that in 2021, released it in 2022. When I was drawing it, I told my husband, Sam, Shein is going to copy this. I already knew because they were copying everyone. I was like, there's nothing like this on the market.
Because it was new and so different.
New and novel, and I had never seen it before, okay? And so, surely enough, I released the skirt. It goes viral. It sells out pretty much immediately. As we're trying to restock, Shein swoops in and makes the skirt, just like I said they would. And I end up calling them out. I was reached out by their Shein US president who wanted to get on a phone call with me to rectify things. I'm like, to rectify, take it off the website and never do this again. We ended up meeting. He tried to offer a partnership for me to design for them. I was like, absolutely not. Just take this off the website and never do this again.
Where are you meeting? Is it in person?
Virtually. No, they wanted me to come in person. I was like, no, I don't think that's safe.
Good
I don't
for
think
you.
that's safe.
So you meet virtually, and they're trying, instead of like rectify, instead of saying we stole your.
They never admitted to that.
Okay, so they just said, oh, funny, we have the same identical item that didn't exist anywhere else, but we saw it went viral with you.
Well, what? No, so they what he said is that, oh, that's not even our design. We have buyers, that it's a marketplace. We just bought it from a factory. Like what? Like pretty much never admitted that their people clearly saw my design and copied it because they saw the success. And the crazy thing is now, and I'm like forwarding a million years, not really, but there are multiple products on Shein that are direct copies of Pop Flex. Like, it's just like, I know exactly what you're doing. It's not just Shein. There's been other brands that not only copy the design and many of these patented designs, they also copy the way of filming. They'll even hire a model with my same body type, maybe my same background, to confuse the audience. For example, like a Halara. And fans have actually come up to me and they've been like, hey, is that your sub-brand? Like, that's the level of confusion that we're talking about. But yeah, there's a whole conversation around dupes that I'm sure we're going to get into. But yeah, so Shein copies it. They eventually take it down, promise they won't do it again. And then, of course, it keeps happening. But because of that, it inspired me to get a design patent. And I've never had a patent before in my life. And we went through the process of getting an expedited design patent. So normally when you file an application, it could take anywhere between, 2, 3, 5 years, depending. And an expedited, if you pay extra money, can give it to you within like a year or so, if it even gets approved. It's very difficult. And so lucky for me, it was proven that no one has ever created anything like the pirouette skirt before. So I get granted the design patent weirdly on my birthday in 2024. Yeah.
Wow.
January 16, 2024. I don't know if you believe in numbers and stuff, but I feel like lots of magical things have just happened around the number 16, and that's so my number. And so that was a big sign for me. So that happens on January 16, 2024. And then a few months later, on April 19th, 2024, Taylor Swift was spotted wearing the pirouette skirt. And I was so numb. I died. I died because, one, I have been listening to Taylor Swift since way back, 2008 era, teardrops on my guitar. She has helped me through breakups, heartbreak, so much. And to see literally my favorite celebrity and musician wearing my baby, the one that I have fought so much for, knowing that she's also fought so hard for her music, it just meant so much to me. And whether or not she knew that she chose that skirt because of what I've gone through, it didn't matter. It meant so much to me. And I'm still dying from that. But that created this crazy connection between Pop Flex and Taylor Swift, and really just put pop flex on like this different level. And we obviously sold out of that digital lavender pure wet squirt pretty much immediately. Then all the other pure wet squirts started selling out. And, we did the reorder as fast as we could. But of course, during the reorder period, all of these dupes started popping up. And it's just been insane and horrendous and a game of whack-a-mole, even with the patent, to take it down. Because what people never talk about is that, okay, you pay thousands of dollars to the government to get this patent, but when you have it, there's no one in the government to help you enforce it. And it's a game of money. And whoever has more money to pay the legal fees is going to win. So what ended up happening was that not only was it the Sheins, the Temu, the TikTok shops, like Amazon, like so many. And just to give you like an understanding of how bad it is, just last week alone on TikTok Shop, there were 233 separate listings of the pure wet squirt alone on TikTok Shop. And every time there's a dupe listing, we have to fill out this huge form and take it down. And all the work goes on the owner, instead of the infringer, because they can upload again. And I literally have a person full time filling out these forms and taking down. But at this point, it's like she doesn't even have enough time. I think I need to hire more people. And so it becomes like this thing that where I should be focusing on creating the next and the new, but I'm trying to protect myself. Now, there are people who say things like, oh, wait, hold on. I need to finish that story. And then I'll go back to what I was trying to say. After you see the spike in dupes for the online brands, online platforms, just within the past few months, it's gone to American retailers. And so that same pure wet squirt that Taylor Swift wore in that color, patented by me, is now at Nordstrom Rack, Kohl's, JCPenney, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. The list goes on. And it's just so infuriating because these multi-billion-dollar corporations, they can't just make an order from the original designer? Like, what is going on?
So I saw this go down on Instagram, on TikTok. And your community really started going over to Nordstrom's Instagram and saying like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
What has transpired? Okay, so just to bring the audience up to speed, she has a patent, a design patent. She went on social media and said, hey, Nordstrom, you could just order from us instead of buying a dupe. Support small business owners.
Yeah.
And then her community all went over and said, we want better and we want more. And then Nordstrom deflected.
No, they didn't even do anything. They never DM'd me back. They, in fact, during this whole saga, instead of just like responding to any comments or saying anything, they put up this poor influencer like collab video and all the comments went on her page. Like, it was bad moves. I saw everything they were doing. They were just trying to bury it, kept posting, deleting, like until like fans would get tired and thinking I would get tired.
They don't know who they messed with.
So
what happened? Where are things at now?
So I've had to change my legal team to get more aggressive. Unfortunately, they're spending a lot of money on legal fees. I'm spending money on legal fees because I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to shut up about this because when I fight for myself, it's not just about me and that score. It's about all the other independent designers who can't pay for this. I'm standing up for all of us because this happens all the time. There is no respect for creatives. People think, people have even told me before, oh, your patent doesn't mean anything. I could design that in my sleep. Well, then why didn't you? I think the same type of lack of respect happens when you just kind of see what's going on with AI and artists, like taking away from artists. And there would be no I in generation of images if there was no one to take from. So just this like lack of respect for artistry gets me really riled up. And so I'm fighting for all of the artists out there, and I'm hoping that we can come to some type of resolution. And I will never shut up about this. And I'm glad I'm not, because when I see people on the street, the first thing they say, they always go like, keep fighting Nordstrom, keep fighting the bad guys. And I'm going to keep fighting.
Okay.
Yeah.
This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is Cassey Ho. This is that same mentality and that same belief of I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight getting out of potentially becoming a buyer. I'm going to fight by having like 16 feet of boxes in my parents' home. I'm going to fight to get the warehouse. I'm going to fight to fulfill. I'm going to fight to figure out what sizing is. I'm going to fight to figure out expansion. I'm going to fight every obstacle in her way, and her next obstacle has proven to be bigger than most people would ever take on. And what she is saying is, I'm here and I'm ready. And that is why I wanted her on the show, because it inspires us to take on whatever big opposition is in our way and say, if somebody like Cassey, who's never formally designed, can figure out how to design, for somebody like Cassey, who's put out batches that did really well and then got down to almost zero, can still rise and come back up from that, can we not too? Cassey, where can people go to find more about PopFlex, about Blogilates, about going deeper in your story?
So lucky for me, I am at Blogilates on every single platform. Like, thank goodness it's a weird word and nobody wants it. And then popflex.com is where you can find the design.
You can find the skirt, you can find the sweater, you can find all of the stuff that I absolutely love living in. Lucky for me, I like to wear workout clothes at home and then at the gym. So
Same.
I'm just
yeah, always comfortable and stylish.
And if you are really trying to up-level your content, I follow Cassey, yes, to learn, but I'm watching what she does. It is so wildly powerful. I probably can have a whole other conversation just about your ideology about content creation. So maybe we bookmark that for another time. But
anytime.
Thank you. Thank you for showing your resilience. Thank you for being so inspiring. Thank you for continuing to push so many people who are looking, myself included, looking up at what it is that you're doing, because you become a waymaker for so many of us. So thank you.
Oh, and thank you. And can I just say how lovely it was to talk to you, and the way you helped guide this conversation and fill in holes, because I actually have a lot of trouble telling my story because it's so windy, as with, like, I'm sure you talk to so many entrepreneurs and it's just like so windy. And so thank you for pulling out the bits that where you wanted to get to.
I take that as a big compliment, because I truly respect everything you've done. And it's my job to be like, how can we get literally decades of your magic into a 60-minute conversation? And so the fact that you saw that in me, being like, okay, I'm going to continue doing this, because I think that hopefully the work that I do elevates and highlights the magic that you are. So if you get in the car with Sam and you say, on the inside, it feels good, then I'll be like, heck yes.
On the inside, it feels good. Wait, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Oh my gosh, okay, let's go.
So at the top of this interview, you said that sometimes when you talk to, I forget if it was entrepreneurs or just people in general, they don't get into that emotional side. That's what you said, right? What are they normally giving you? Because I am such an emotionally sensitive.
So Cassey, a lot of the work that I did in studying what it is that you had done, it was really surprising to me how much you say, like, I cried, it hurts my feelings, I'm sensitive. And it really was a juxtaposition for me, because I'm super high logic, high analytical. Yes, like the mean comments absolutely hurt me. But then I just kind of turn it into internal fuel. And I saw somebody who is really open about being sensitive, really open about the feelings of it. And then doing something that I wouldn't even have the capacity to do, is to say, I'm going to turn this on the inside out, and I'm going to show you what you want of me. And it was such a power move that I was like, whoa. And what I genuinely see is high logic, high analytics, high quant. This is the thing that we're going to do. And you're like, feeling. And I was like, I need to tap more into that. That's why I wanted you on the show.
Okay.
Like, there's different paths to success. There just is. And I'm like, dang, maybe osmotically we'll rub each other's shoulders, like, I'll get more of you, girl. I get more of you.
Can I just tell you how many times I wish I could just like take a pill and like not feel so much, because I feel too much. Everything is so, well, look, it's double-edged, right?
Yes.
The happy is so good. But when I'm like so sad, I'm like dying. So yes, let's osmotically
it's your
rub up
power.
on
It's your
each other.
power. It's your power. It's your power. And we both learn from each other. But just being around you and seeing a different side of an entrepreneur, wildly successful. It just proves that there's so many paths to success.
There is.
And that's what I wanted to show. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you
for being
this
here.
Was so fun.
I adore you. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. And I just know that if I saw you in the street, I'd probably fist bump you and be like, keep on fighting the big one. If you enjoyed this episode of the Jasmine Star Show, do us a favor, subscribe, follow Blogilates, join her journey and support what it is that she's doing. And if you like that athleisure, this is the entrepreneur.
This is the cloud hoodie. She's wearing the cloud hoodie.
Cloud hoodie, basically entrepreneur uniform. You can check it out at PopFlex. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.